Hey everyone, Pastor Chelsea here, and you're watching The Thursday Show. Well, as I was preparing for today's show, I realized we have had over 36 different episodes of The Thursday Show over the past year, and it's been so exciting for me to learn and grow throughout this opportunity. But as I'm right now preparing for what will come in the fall, I would love to create a season 2 of The Thursday Show. But this is where you come in. I would so value your feedback, your responses from those of you who watch The Thursday Show, whether it's regularly or every once in a while. And so right here on the screen, there's a QR code. If you want to pull out your phone, if you're watching on a TV or watching on a laptop, you can scan this code by just holding up your camera app to it, and it'll take you straight to the survey. Or, if you prefer, in the description of this show is also a link to that same survey. If you could fill this out, it should only take you a few minutes. There's only 10 questions, but that feedback would be so helpful for me as I prepare and plan to make the Thursday show even better for you all this coming fall. So if you could do that, maybe not right now, wait till the end of this episode before you do it, but I would just so appreciate that. And I'll keep reminding you over the next couple weeks of our last few episodes before we go on summer break. All that being said, thinking about the fall, thinking about new things coming, kind of directed the theme of today's episode of the Thursday Show. I want to talk about fresh starts. You know, last night at youth group and children's ministry and all across the board on Wednesdays, there were a lot of kind of final parties being thrown. There's still ministry happening all throughout the summer, but for some of the groups, it was some of the last times they would be meeting. And it really made me think about how life just has this natural pattern of closing one chapter and beginning a new chapter. I think often people think that new beginnings can only start at the beginning of a new year. But in reality, there's opportunities all year long for starting new chapters. A lot of it just comes down to our mindset. Now, I learned a few years back about this concept that compares two different mindsets, and this comparison really helped me to move into a place of growth. So let me break them down for you. There's the growth mindset, and there's the fixed mindset. I'm going to give you a hint right now. Growth mindset's what you want. Let's break these two mindsets down. We'll start with a fixed mindset. The fixed mindset would say failure, when you encounter failure, that would show the limit of your own abilities. They would say, well, either I'm good at that or I'm not. It's a fixed mindset. It's almost kind of like you put fences around your brain saying, I don't have the ability to go outside those fences. The fences are where I'm limited. So other indicators that go along with the fixed mindset would say that your abilities or skills are unchanging. Again, thinking through your abilities or skills as having a fence that they butt up against, saying, well, I can either do it or I can't. Often the fixed mindset does not like to be challenged because they feel like challenges point out their limitations. Or when they're frustrated, often those with a fixed mindset just want to give up. Feedback and criticism, they take personally because they feel like that points out their limitations, and they often stick to what they know. If you ask me, the fixed mindset is far too common, and I've been guilty of it too. I can think of back in high school, I often didn't want to play sports or do athletic things because I had a fixed mindset, thinking that I just wasn't athletic, so why even try? That fixed mindset comes in and robs us of trying new things and growing where there's a lot of spaces where we can grow. That leads us to the growth mindset. The growth mindset sees failure as not a limitation, but as an opportunity to grow. The growth mindset says that I can learn to do anything I want. I just have to apply myself and put in the work. The growth mindset, when they face challenges, they see them as opportunities to help them try new things and to grow into new places. Their effort and their attitude determine their abilities, not any kind of limitation on their brain. The growth mindset loves feedback. I mean, it can still be challenging to receive that feedback, but the growth mindset sees that feedback as constructive, as something that's going to help them push into new places and grow. The growth mindset is inspired by the successes of others rather than threatened by them because they see that as evidence that they can continue to grow. And the growth mindset pushes themselves to try new things. I think all of us have been in a place where we've had a fixed mindset, where we felt limited by the things that we knew how to do, and we didn't feel like we could push past those limitations. But the good news is we don't have to stay in that space. We can choose to change our thinking and move into a growth mindset. And the real good news is that that's what God wants for us. He doesn't want to see us limited or struggling or living in failure. He wants to see us growing and trying new things and starting new chapters. We see that happens in Scripture as well. In the Old Testament, God was often trying to take his people, the Israelites, into new places. Often the Israelites were not a big fan. Often the Israelites were stuck in that fixed mindset. If you look back to the season when God's people, the Israelites, were in captivity in Babylon, they were very much in a fixed mindset place. I mean, to start with, they were in captivity. They were away from their homeland. They were in bondage, in slavery. They had some very real physical limitations on them. And yet God whispered hope to his people to let them know that that was not where he wanted them to stay, that he was going to take them into new places. In Isaiah chapter 43, verses 18 through 19, we see God speaking to his people while they're in this season. And this is what he says to them. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. If you've been watching the Thursday show from the very beginning, you might actually recognize that passage. That was the same passage that we kicked off the Thursday show. And so it kind of has me all nostalgic as I'm starting to get to the end of this season, thinking about the new season that God led me through with this Thursday show, but the new season that he has ahead for me and for you as well. If we want to move past the place that we currently are, though, we're going to have to do a few things, just like the Israelites did. The first thing that we have to do is we have to prepare for a new thing. In verse 19, God says, "Behold, I am doing a new thing." And later on, he says, "I will make a road in the wilderness." Between the captivity in Babylon and the return to Israel lay hundreds of miles of wilderness. So when God said that to his people, they not only had doubts about getting out of slavery, they had doubts because they knew the terrain between where they were in captivity in Babylon and where their homeland was. There was no highway system, there were no cut out roads. And so God was literally going to have to make a road in the wilderness to get his people into a new space. So if we want to head into new things, sometimes we get discouraged because we don't see where in the world God is going to take us. Where's the path, Lord, that you're going to lead me on? Sometimes we don't have the luxury of knowing that step yet. But God just asks us to prepare for the new thing, not to know all the details. We need to prepare for God to do a new thing in us, but then we also have to let go of the past. In Luke 5, it makes me think about that parable where Jesus is giving the example of how nobody tears a new piece of cloth and puts it on an old garment. Otherwise, as the garment is worn, both the new and the old would fight against one another. That parable is a picture of how sometimes we have to let go of the old things in order for the new thing to occur. And then the last thing that we need to do is to take a new step. If we want God to do something new in us, it requires an act of faith and obedience on our part. And I love this one because it's so full of hope. And there's even that element of planning and moving into that new future. You know, I could hope and get excited about getting into better health, or I could hope and get excited about reading a new book. But it's not until I start to actually take a step to put those things into practice that they can become a reality. I have to actually clean out my cupboards of the unhealthy food that have piled up. I need to actually choose that book and open it up and turn to the first page and start reading. We have to take that first step. So as you head into this summer season, maybe there are some new things that you're ready for. Maybe you're ready to move into growth, to bring about change. So taking that first step for you could look a lot of different ways. But maybe here's just a couple examples of what that could look like for you. Maybe it's a matter of taking a first step to choose a specific time and place where you're going to spend some quiet time with the Lord each day. Or maybe you want to do the health thing, and so taking that specific step is clearing out the candy, the chips, the junk food that just makes you feel sluggish, setting it aside to prepare for some new healthy eating habits. Or maybe it's a matter of taking that first step by deleting the app on your phone that keeps taking all your time and distracting you. Maybe instead, taking that first step is a matter of moving into a place of encouraging others. And so buying a box of cards that you're going to send out and mail to somebody each week as an encouragement. I hope that maybe God's putting something specific on your heart and mind right now of that first step He wants you to move into. And I hope it becomes a specific thing that maybe you, as you go from here today, could write down, put somewhere that it reminds you to do it. Maybe put it into your phone as a reminder or schedule it into your calendar so that it's not just a matter of preparing for a new thing and not just a matter of letting go of the past, but a matter of taking a step into something new. I have this little sign in my bedroom at home. I think I got it at Hobby Lobby, but it's a great encouragement for me. It just says 365 days in a year, 365 new beginnings. What is God doing in you that is going to be the new beginning, the fresh start for you this summer? I hope you take some time to reflect on it. I know I've been reflecting on it too as I think about the summer and I think about the fall. And so as we go from here today, if you would be so kind to fill out that survey and help give me feedback for the future of the Thursday show. Just a reminder, the link is in the description, and once again, here is the QR code if you would be able to fill that out. That will help me as I take my first steps into new beginnings. I pray God is with you as you take your first steps into new beginnings as well. I'll see you next week.